All right, welcome everybody. Dr. Keith, how's everyone doing today? Hopefully you're all hanging in there. We got some phenomenal opportunities coming up, folks. So it's exciting. It's exciting. Jim, nice to see you. Can everybody see my screen okay? And hear me okay? Excellent. So you can see my Thinkorswim chart, hopefully, and hear my pretty voice. Okay. Well, again, welcome everybody to the Wednesday update. Looking forward to spending the next 45 minutes or so with you all and kind of go over what I'm seeing. Okay. So with that, let me get right into it. So let me talk big picture first here. One of the things that I'm noticing with like the ES, okay, we obviously had that beautiful trigger here on the Laguerre, but again, I didn't take this because it was right during election, okay, right? We didn't know who was president was going to be, and I didn't take it. But as far as it doesn't get any better than this, we had the trigger, we got the green Hackenacci dot, okay? And the reason I wanted to start out by showing this example was this, and this is where the Hackenacci can help everybody, okay? If you got into this trade, certainly you're gonna protect yourself and take some off the table, right? But just as far as would you still be in this trade, okay? We still have green dots, folks. So absolutely you would still be in this trade, okay? So even if today and tomorrow we get a couple red candles and this turns to red, you're still making 80% of this move, okay? And that's where, again, I've used Hackenacci in the past. The reason why I'm using it again is the current environment we're in. And now that I have a program that I don't have to go back and forth, I know, okay, the actual price of today, for example, okay, we're up 1.5, right? So we're pretty much flat today. The open is the white line. The close as of right now is the red line. So you have the Hackenacci staying green, but you're also seeing that we haven't moved much, okay? But as long as you're going to keep these green candles, market, I'm going to stay in this trade, okay? Again, one of my mentees says, Dr. Keith's like paint by numbers, and absolutely. But having that combination of the Laguerre and then having that green dot just telling you to stay into the trade, okay, is a beautiful thing. Okay, so what are my thoughts where we're going to go over the next couple of weeks? We're going to go higher, folks, okay? When we have our next webinar, remember next week is Thanksgiving, so I'm not going to have one next Wednesday. I'm going to be last minute shopping for my turkey. Okay, I do that every year. It's very stressful. But what I am going to be doing is when we talk again on the second or third or fourth, whenever that is coming up, we're going to be higher, folks, with high probabilities. Okay, so even though nothing's guaranteed, or we would all be retired and at the beach right now, what I can tell you is between now, specifically next Monday, through the first week and a half after Thanksgiving, we typically always go higher, folks. Okay, so what does that mean for stocks, for futures, for Forex? Okay, I'm looking for long plays only at this point that are in that market direction. Okay. Will we get a pullback at all this week before that happens? Possibly. If we do, it's just going to give us a better entry. Okay, it's going to give us a better entry, but it may not happen. Retailer traders are still shorting the market at a pretty good rate. Over 60% of retailers are short the ES. That means we'll probably continue higher. Doesn't mean every day though, folks. But Hackenacci is also telling us, we're heading higher. Today's candle, as of right now, isn't that dramatic though, right? So are we at a potential short-term top? Maybe. We don't know. We don't know. But if you took this trade, I apologize if you hear my German Shepherd in the background. My new office is still being built in my new house here. But anyway, you can see here, there's no reason to think we're ending at this point, okay? At this point. Let's bring up the Nasdaq. Okay, so here's another beautiful example with Hakanachi. So it was the same, relatively the same trigger, right, on the Nasdaq. But we had two red Hakanachi candles here, which meant we got a red dot, okay? So if we got in here, this white bar at the open, okay, we would have exited at the close, okay, right here. Still a nice, beautiful trade, right? But then the beautiful thing about Hakanachi is, so the Laguerre in an uptrend can stay like this for a while, right? You can just re-enter on the next green dot, which happened to be right here, okay? So if you're in here, you made money, or you're still making money on that re-entry. Now that's a little bit more aggressive, okay? But that's how you can use Hakanachi to re-enter trades as well. So again, we will hit new highs on the Nasdaq, folks, very soon. Okay. So while I've got the futures up here, let's talk about some of the things I'm looking at, okay? So gold. Who's waiting for the long play on gold, right? Who needs to pay for their Christmas presents? So again, when do you enter? Look at this beautiful opportunity coming, folks, okay? The Laguerre's down here, okay? Now what we want is that Laguerre to trigger and a green dot, and there's my entry for this year's gold play, okay? So not yet, but we have a plan, don't we? We have a plan, okay? Gold is one of my favorite trades of the year. I also love this support. See all these wicks right here? Let's just say 1860, okay? It looks like to me gold's gonna be a fantastic play this year, folks. Jim. But again, nothing's guaranteed, but we have these probabilities and we know there's a great opportunity to make money on gold, okay? Platinum's actually even better. I just don't talk about platinum much. There's a little bit more risk in platinum, but you can see it's already made the move, okay? It's already made the move, part of it, okay? So if you were in this trade right here, you get in at the green, you stay in until you get a red, okay? By the way, if you're looking at a stock that has a high correlation with platinum, you want me to give you one? I was looking at this yesterday. Okay, let me find it. Okay, one that's about 90% correlated is JB Hunt. Jim, both. I trade gold itself, the futures market, then also an ETF and so forth. And I'll show you in a minute. So, you know, JB Hunt is very correlated with platinum. So those of you that don't want to trade gold or platinum, but you want to take, you know, this was a nice trigger here. Okay, so again, if you knew that, you just wait, you have the Laguerre trigger, you now have your green dot right here, okay? And now you can stay in the trade until you get a red dot. So still no red dot, so you're still in this trade, okay? So, you know, a couple things for gold. You can trade GLD, okay? You can trade NUGT. These are just a couple of my favorites, okay? Nugget. They're all going to look very similar in chart, okay? You can trade the option of that as well, okay? So there's a lot of ways, and I'll definitely be doing one on my alert service once we get a trigger, okay? Okay. Let me go ahead and just show you here. So some of the things that crude oil. Crude has been one of those trading instruments this year that have been a little difficult. Okay, typically crude doesn't have a lot of advantage right this second, more to the downside than to the upside. But so what I'm looking at here and noticing on crude, okay, the top Bollinger Band has been pretty respectful. We got a wick here. We may end up getting a wick here. We don't know yet. Okay. But if we get a Laguerre trigger short here, right, we could just be consolidating between that 43 and that 36. So if you like crude to the short side, we might be getting really close here once we get that red dot. Okay. All right. What do I think about big picture on the dollar? Okay. So again, when I bring up the dollar, you can see from a seasonal perspective, we typically had higher, big picture, right, until the end of the year. So now we're just waiting for the trigger, okay, on the dollar. Again, getting very close, right? We don't know when. We need the Laguerre to pop up. We need to get a green dot. And if that happens in the next week or so, that's going to be a fantastic trade, right? It seems like there's a lot of support here at this 92 level. Make sense? So those are some of the things that, that I'm looking for. One thing I also noticed today, maybe doing this trade tonight for you futures folks, the Swissy. Okay, so we've got a green dot, we've got the Laguerre heading back up, and we got this seasonal move, right? So, again, the Hackenacci triggered a little bit earlier than the Laguerre. But now, if we get into this trade, we can try to stay in it until we get a red dot. Okay, so this might be something I do tonight. We do have higher lows. We got the seasonal move. I like it. I like it. All right, let's look at Euro US dollar. So you can see here, right after Thanksgiving, we typically had lower. Okay, so again, this is something that you can just kind of keep an eye on your list. I do see all these wicks at this 118.75 level, right? So when the Laguerre starts heading down and we get a red dot, this is a range. You can make good money on a range, right? Once it gets moving, you'll probably come back down and test these levels down here, okay? So in a nice defined range, you can make money in that direction as well. Jim, I don't trade gold options itself. If I'm going to trade options, then I'll trade the ETF options. Personally, I don't like to trade futures options, probably because I don't do it often. I'm just not as comfortable with it. Okay. Yeah, you can trade dollar index ETFs. Absolutely. Absolutely. As long as there's volume and you've got the opportunity, you can do that. Okay. Let's look at Apple. So you can see here, Apple, typically right around Thanksgiving, starts to head higher, then it bounces high, right? So it triggered a little bit early. It triggered right here on 11.5. But again, just want to show you some of these examples. If you got in, there's no red dot yet, right? There was no reason to get out. Apple will be heading higher, folks. Same with Netflix. Let's show you some of the tech monsters here. Okay, it's just consolidating. Look at the end of the year trade on Netflix coming up. Okay, so we're just being patient. Go ahead and consolidate Netflix. Give us that beautiful long opportunity here shortly. Okay. Tesla's starting its move, right? Again, typically it's towards the end of the year is when it makes a bigger move. But if you took this trigger right here, right now you can stay in, protect yourself, stay in until you get a red dot. Who knows how long that will be, okay? checking the Q&A here. Yes, we'll look at some others here in just a few minutes as well, so keep them out there. So Kim says, is your entry on the RSI and the green dot both confirming, and then sell would be on the red dot only, or do you need the Laguerre? Great question. So what I look for, so let's say, let me go back to, let me do the spider, okay? Because that's an easy one to give for teaching purposes. So if you got into this trade here, okay, the question was really, when do you get out? So I would wait and get out entirely on a red Hackenacci dot, okay? But what you're gonna see is when that happens, the Laguerre is gonna come down anyway. See, look back here. You got the sell on the Laguerre, and then basically 1 bar later, you got the Hackenacci, okay? So they're always gonna correlate within a couple bars typically, but I prefer actually to hang into the trade until I either get a yellow or more preferably a red, okay? But depending on what you're trading, don't ever turn a winning trade into a losing. You know, protect yourself, have at least a break-even stop and so forth. But I'm just telling you big picture, like if you took this SPY trade, you would still be in it based off of the definition of I use with a Hackenacci, okay? I prefer GLD over GOLD. Again, just personal preference. I mean, you can look at the prices, what you're good for risk reward. You can look at, you know, Nugget, NUGT. Excuse me, hopefully I muted before I cough there. It's really just personal preference on the spreads, what price you want to get and so forth. Okay, let me bring up some opportunities coming with stocks. Now, what I wanted to do today is to just give you some food for thought on some good opportunities coming up, okay? I'm just grabbing these from my data mining, so I know some of you have that and are already looking at this, so some of this may not be brand new to you, but PEG. So folks, from 11/26 to January 31st, this has gone up 38 out of 39 years, okay? So 11/26 to January 31st. So we're just waiting for that trigger, okay? I already love it, it's in an uptrend. Okay, now we're just waiting for that green dot to go long, okay? It averages about a 10% move during that time, you know, so, you know, roughly, let's say $6 move potentially, you know, on this particular PEG. 38 out of 39 years has gone higher during that window, okay? What else am I looking at for my data mining right now? Oops, I gotta type it right, first of all. If I could read my own writing, that would be fantastic. Okay, so here's something I'm looking at is Rockwell Automation. Again, it's one of my data mining, high probability trades. Beautiful seasonal. We do it typically sometimes after the week after Thanksgiving, but big picture is higher, okay? So now, here's a great example. We have got, if it closes like this today, okay, it's going to have a second green Hackenacci, which will mean, you know, again, we'll have that green dot, and the Laguerre isn't quite above 0.2, but everything else is in par. So I would take it even if it hasn't quite gone above 0.2. Okay. Perfect rules is wait for the for the Laguerre to close above 0.2. But this may be a trade. For example, I'm looking at doing the Swissy long, and I may do ROK as well tonight for tomorrow. Okay. High probability trade. Okay, another one I'm looking at, LLY, Lily. Okay. Again, we need this to start turning back over. We need a green dot. What will happen, folks, is the Laguerre doesn't always get all the way into the green and come out, okay? When it does, those are my favorite, okay? Let me repeat, those are my favorite. When they come in like this and come out and you get the green dot. But in many cases, when it's a bullish market, you're going to get the Laguerre curving, and then you'll get a green dot. I like that as well. Okay, so that's my number 2. Okay, there's nothing better than when it comes into the green and out, but a lot of times it won't quite do that. I'm also developing a scan soon that will just show me the yellow dots in the direction of the seasonal move, so that we can look at the reversals and say, okay, these are all in the direction of our overall move. Maybe I want to take that. Okay, that's what I'm working on. Okay, what else do I like? And this is being recorded this time. I didn't screw this one up. Okay, so PHM. Again, we have a nice move coming. This is another one I'm looking at, a potential move trade into tomorrow. You know, but PHM, we now have a green dot, a green Hackenacci. Good looking opportunity there. Okay. What I don't like about this as much is, you know, we haven't actually proven an uptrend yet. It is more potentially of a downtrend. Okay. But I also have the data mining telling me this goes higher. Okay. Okay, Amgn. I'm looking for a long play on Amgn. You can see why. Good seasonal. Just waiting now, right? And this is where this system can help you all, right? You've got red, solid red Hackenacci, red dots. Don't go long yet. We got to wait on this. Okay. And interesting enough, right, this is actually a lower high. So, you know, we want to see this start turning around, giving us a higher low. Then we'll look to enter Amgn. What about Adobe? Anybody think this looks good? Look at the seasonal move on Adobe. We got yellow dots. We just need the Laguerre to come up and give us that green dot. And there's our entry on Adobe. Okay. I like that hitting up to that 530 level pretty quickly once it gets going. Okay, so let me bring up, I don't know if I answered it, so let me look up PEG one more time here. Okay, so the question is, do you need an LRSI and a Hackenacci trigger? So what I look for in these cases, okay, if we get a green dot, that means we have 2 green Hackenaccis turning to the upside. So as long as the Laguerre is slanting back up, that meets my criteria as my number 2 trade, right? My number 1s are when the dotted line comes like this during the seasonal move and comes out, and then we get that green dot, right? That's my number 1. My number 2, which you get a lot of these, is when, okay, the Laguerre line is not going to come all the way down this time. It's going to start curving up, and then we get a green dot, and that's acceptable for me as long as I like where price is on the chart. Okay. Okay. Let's see, on the data mining, there's one more I'll bring up for you. Take a look at. Keep an eye on. Okay, Biogen. Okay. It's another good long play coming up for the next couple months. What I don't like about this from a pure price standpoint is, you know, the jerking up and down here, but it looks like it's settling in now. What I would probably do on this one is I'm going to wait for the second trigger more than likely, because I want to make sure this is going to make its move. But from a probability standpoint, this heads higher year after year coming up right now. Okay. And as I mentioned, I really do like Netflix. So as we get closer, you know, we're getting a discount on Netflix right now. Just waiting. All it's been doing is consolidating here, folks. Waiting for that breakout, probably to the upside. Okay. Okay. Can I look at Gbtc? Of course. Okay. So this doesn't have seasonal data right now because it hasn't been around for 10 years. Okay. It's an OTC. But just from a pure technical standpoint, right? If you got the trigger here on the Laguerre, here's the quiz for everybody, right? Remember, my background's professor, right? If you're following my rules, would you still be in this trade? Yes or no? Come on. That's right. See, Jim gets the virtual high five. Mike, good job. Yeah. So again, this is where you can catch those trends, right? So you got in, like, when should I get out? When the hell should I get out? Well, maybe I should get out here, right? But again, I like to wait for that red dot to get these runners, okay? So it was a great example to share where, again, if you were in this trade or if you're in this trade, there's no reason to get out yet. This is where Hackendashi can help you, right? Because again, if you look at regular price candles, okay, you might have got out here, you don't know, right? 3 red down days. Hackendashi gives you sanity, okay? That's why I like it so much. And now that I've programmed it, you know, that I have my high and low of actual price and I've got my dots to tell me, super simple stuff. That's what I like to teach students, okay? Good example. Okay, VMC, let's take a look. And by the way, I'm also using Hackendashi here on the weekly seasonal just to get a bigger picture, okay, of, you know, on the weekly candles, you know, where are we at, okay? Okay, so on Vulcan, we got a trigger, we got a yellow dot, meaning we got today another green. So if we get another green candle tomorrow, this will turn to a green dot. Okay, and we got seasonal to the upside. So definitely an opportunity for you. Yep, that's a good one. Okay, I'm going to sort by SIG here. This is a trade I'm still in. I'm up over 100% on this one. This is a nice one. So here's another good example though, okay? So we got this pullback, right? Every uptrend gets pullbacks. We got this pullback, okay? And then you're like, okay, when do I want to get into this trade? So we have our first green Hackendashi, right? That's why it's yellow, okay? Then we have our first green dot, okay? I didn't get in here. I got in here because then it was obvious the Laguerre was heading higher. Here it was more flat. I wasn't positive. So I got in here, okay? But you get back in on the green dot, okay? Then I got out here. Why? 2 reasons. Red dot, and the next day was earnings, okay? Then I was able to get right back in, okay, with that green dot. So when you have this deep uptrend and the Laguerre is just pushing forward, you can get back in on that green dot, okay? So that worked out good. That's another great example of how I'm using this, okay? Okay, so AG has a nice move coming, okay? Nice move coming to the upside. So we're getting close, right? A lot of these are getting close, and a lot of these are going to trigger in the next week, folks, as we head higher in the markets, okay? If there was one day I had to bet my net worth that we're going to head higher out of the entire year, it would either be tax day, normal tax day, or Monday. This coming up Monday, typically we always head higher, okay? Nothing's guaranteed. Don't put money in something you can't afford to lose, folks. But we should be heading higher here with high probability, specifically Monday, next Monday, for the next 8 trading days after, okay? So don't load up too much where if we're wrong, you lose your account, but you can certainly make some money to buy those Christmas presents, okay? Okay, BSX. So again, here's an example where we have our pullback, but we have a big seasonal move coming. So we're just waiting. We're just waiting at this point for those long plays. I know this is a trade that I'm currently in right now. Okay, so again, yellow dot today. If we get a second red candle, we'll get a red dot then painted if it closes with a second red candle. Just looking for some other opportunities for you that I'm looking at here. So Western Digital has a great seasonal play. It triggered here. You know, so again, look at this. They would have kept you in the trade, right? You had one down Hackenacci, not two. And there you go. Let me look at 20-day moves. Just going to sort by 20 and then move this down. I do like Riot at times, but it's a shorter term. Got to be careful with Riot. We've talked about that one. Let's see here. What about THC? THC had a trigger because again, remember these THC. This is a 20-day. You know, this has been showing on our radar screen for a while. Okay. So when you would have took these triggers, okay, this would have been a shorter trade in theory, right? If you would have got out on this red dot, then you could re-enter right here. I have a hard time entering this high up. Okay, I would be looking for something else, but by rule, you know, it's a more aggressive trade. You could re-enter that. Okay. All right. Let me bring up a couple other things I'm looking at here. So, you know, if you're looking at, you know, things to trade, you do like futures. Looking to re-enter here on cotton. Very bullish this time of year. Okay. See the seasonal on that? Okay. Cotton's going to be hitting new highs here soon. Those of you that trade futures. Let's look at some more futures here. Coffee. You can see here that at the time we were trending up for coffee when we got the trigger. So again, if you took it, very easy. Should you stay in this trade? Yeah, look at the bullish Hackenacci, right? This thing is continuing higher until it tells us otherwise, right? Until we start getting some really indecision candles, you know, or it turns red, there's no reason to think that this is the end of that particular trend in coffee, okay? Okay, so Mike has a great question. So on this, I'm not showing the yellow line anymore, which is the fractal energy, because I wanted to put the Hackenacci dots in, okay, in with the Laguerre RSI. Okay, you can keep them in there. I just found it. So let me just show you. All I did was went to gamma and turned it off. Okay, but you can keep it in there. What I do is when I want to know, then I'll look at it. So, you know, it's there. But if I put it on here for the public right now, I get a lot of questions on, well, what's these too much going on, Dr. Keith, right? But yeah, you can just turn it on and off. That's all I did there. Okay. And the gamma is just, right, how much energy is in that particular market at that point in time. Okay. Oops. Sorry, I keep hitting the wrong thing there. I like my charts to be simple looking. Okay. But it doesn't mean I don't look at it still. I just look at it and then I hide it again. That's all. Okay. Okay. So again, that's really what I want to focus on today is give you a couple things. Nothing's guaranteed. I want to stress that, especially in this environment. But I'm very bullish right now. We typically will be bullish all of next week, you know, the 3 days that it runs into the following week. People, institutions, they put their money into the markets this time of year. Look at those great seasonal longs. Look at your data mining. Give yourself that best probability to make money. Okay. Is there anything else you want me to look at? We have plenty of time today. More than happy to look at something that you're maybe thinking about. Let's see here. I think I answered. If I didn't answer any of your questions, let me know. I think I did. If I missed something, let me know. Look at that Bitcoin move, folks. So if you got, so here's an example where, you know, it starts curving. So let's say you got in here and then you got out here, break even roughly, right? Then indecision, red. Then you could get back in here. Boy, if you got in at 10,897, you are a happy camper. No red dots yet, folks. Okay. I mean, that's the beauty of using Hakanashi. And, you know, again, if we go back to regular candles, right, it's a little bit more confusing, right? It's a little bit more confusing. So, you know, it's all about giving you that edge, helping you digest that information. There's no reason to think, and this thing looks like it wants to go higher, right? Last year or 3 years ago it did, right? Around Christmas. What happens is January is typically a seasonal short. We'll see if that happens this year, but we'll probably continue higher through the end of the year here at this point. Sure, I can take a look at those. Let's take a look. Okay, so Mr. Ed here. Again, it's just been consolidating. So what we would look for in this case now is the Laguerre to turn back up and get the green dot. Okay. We don't know how long it'll consolidate, you know, but it is an uptrend just consolidating. So we just wait at this point. BHC. So we already had our trigger on BHC. So again, this is a great example because let's say you miss this trigger here, okay? Now what you can do is wait for it to retrace, wait for this to turn yellow or red, the dot, then on the next green dot during this window until February, you can look to re-enter, okay? So very, very simple rules. If you miss this, if you're in it, stay in it until you get a red dot. If you're not in it, now you have to wait. Okay, yeah, I mean, this is a good trade. That's AMD, I love AMD. Bring that up. Beautiful. No reason to exit. So here's a good example. The Laguerre is starting to turn down, but we're still getting green Hakanachi, right? Now, granted, this is more of an indecision Hakanachi, but there's no reason to exit this yet because who knows what the next candle, it could be back to the upside, right? That's where it can keep you in the trade. Let me take a look at drip. I haven't looked at that in a while. Oh yeah, yeah. So you're right. Nice down. If you're in this, there's no reason to get out yet. Absolutely. And you know, these are telling you a lot. These solid Hakanachi red. That's telling you a lot of information you need to know, right? Can you retype the question, Jim? I must have missed it. I'm more than happy to answer your question with the Laguerre. Yeah, one of my favorite stocks to trade. Let me bring it up. Broadcom. See that beautiful long, nice seasonal, right? Clockwork, right? Had the green, bam. See, even this down move, right? What I ended up doing was, so you get in, right? You get new highs. I take partial profits, but then I kept the rest of my trade. So now we're hoping we continue higher, but there's no reason to exit this trade yet, right? On Broadcom. CRM, great seasonal on CRM, right? Coming up here specifically mid-December. So here's a good example though. So yes, now the seasonal is a little spotty right now. Okay, so that would just, again, I think there's better ones out there right now. But let's say we like everything about the seasonal right now. Yeah, so here's an example. The Laguerre started turning now and you got the green dot. So tomorrow is your entry. Absolutely. Okay. Price is towards the top of the band though, and this has been some support or resistance, I should say. But from a conceptual, yes, this is how you can re-enter and get into these trades, okay? Great question. Just looking to see if I see anything else while you're typing. Okay, we can look at a couple shorts just to show you. So GameStop, okay? This has been a seasonal short. So if you took this trigger here, you made this move here, right? Then you got the, right here, you would have been out, right here, okay? I'm just not shorting markets right now. I don't like it. They can work, but I don't like it right now. We're too bullish, folks. So as we look at, again, the S&P, let it prove us wrong. No reason at this point to exit the trade. No reason to exit. Okay. Carrie, you've made good money on that. I'd probably exit. I'm not a big roller though. I don't like to roll. Let's see here. Gbtc. Yeah, that's the Bitcoin move, right? We look at Bitcoin, so same thing here. You'd still be in it. KOS, let's take a look at KOS. So KLS had earnings, right? So if you were waiting, let's say you're not going to go in right before earnings, right? I don't like to. You can then get in after earnings. So the next green dot, okay? Problem with it now is we're looking to reverse. So if you're in this, again, very cheap stock, right? I would be looking to take profits as quickly as you can. I can show you the 5-minute chart. Let's see here. On gold or GC or gold. Is it just GC you want, or okay, you must mean gold. Okay. So on a 5-minute on gold, yeah, that hit that nice there, right? Right there, you would still be in the trade. No green dot yet. Okay. And that's where it can help you on these pivot points. It holds you into those trades. Okay. Yeah, and I'm doing a webinar on Hackenachi, tomorrow night, I think 8 Eastern. So you should have seen an email on that. If you haven't, send us an email, support@seasonaltraderpro.com, and get you registered, because even if you can't attend it, it'll be recorded. We'll post it on the public YouTube after as well. Okay, but I'll talk even more, on the Hackenachi. So, yeah. All right, folks. Well, again, thanks for attending. Everybody have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy yourself. When we'll resume these live sessions the week after, okay? All right, folks. Again, thanks a lot. I wish you the best. Happy holidays. Bye now.